YouTube, how the fudge you doing? Aaron Woods here today, and I'm doing my civics project for Mrs. Hurd, period 6, the one and only. What my project is about is gun control, gun laws, gun violence, gun accidents, gun everything, okay? And I just want to get to the roots of gun laws. But let's go over the basics first. There's an estimated 270 million guns owned by Americans, and roughly 51,000 gun-related crimes. Now, that may seem like a large number, but compared to 270 million owned guns, I don't think so. Approximately 1 in 3 households own guns, and there's about 47% of Americans that want stricter gun laws. Well, that's less than half, so that doesn't look like that's happening. But anyway, guns kill people? I don't think so. Let's take a look at the UK. The US and the UK are two very opposite with their gun laws. The UK has very little guns, and the US has a lot. But we're starting to get to where the UK is with all these liberals and such. We don't want that. No. But the UK, for every 100,000 people, has 1,362 violent crimes. The US only has 362 violent crimes per 100,000 people. That's a pretty good difference. And we have a lot of guns. They don't. Crime happens regardless, whether it's a gun, a knife, a pencil, fist, a tree. It happens. People die. And it's not guns. I don't know why you try to ban guns. But another look at other forms of death, which would be suicide. In the U.S., roughly 56% of suicides are by guns. 25% are by hanging, and the rest of the percentages are by other means. But that's not very important because hanging is the most. In the UK, there's about 2% by guns and 60% by hanging. That's a pretty big difference. But that just goes to show that however it happens, people commit suicide. Guns don't change anything. Guns may make it easier or different, but they don't change anything. And people say that since we have a lot of guns, which we are the highest guns per capita country in the world, we're having roughly 90 guns per 100 people. But people say that since that is true, that we have a lot of violence. But we're not even close. On a chart from 1 to 120, we are number 111. We're nowhere close to number 1. We're not 50. We're not 100. We're 111. We have cities like Detroit, where the murder rates are sky high. And we have small towns in Texas where nearly everyone owns a gun, and there's nearly no murders. About 0.2% of all of America's murders. But places like Detroit and Chicago, strict gun laws have extremely high rates of murder. What does that say? Gun laws are bad. That's what I'm getting. What about you? I don't know. But, I mean, the number one country is the Honduras. They have fairly strict gun laws. The UK is even higher than us on these charts. If we went off of what the towns with a ton of guns and little violence, we'd be near the very bottom of that chart. Primo, Texas, for example, they have almost like 3 guns per person. And, I mean, that's a lot. But they have very little violence because no one messes with people with guns. When you got a sign on your front lawn that says gun-free home, you're just asking to be robbed.